Hello, welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And I guess this conversation is kind of going to be about relationships, like maybe your personal relationships, but it's also the key to understanding magical workings and using the tree of life and pretty much what the stars are really all about. So, kind of like insider level keys dropping to you now. So, I'm just going to say a lot of people can't handle spiritual teachings, mystical knowledge. They get it all twisted up. And, you know, they just can't handle symbols. They can't handle synchronicity. They can't handle it. And it shows up as crazy people thinking they're enlightened. And they think, they're seeing the patterns of the fractal like nature of reality and calling it synchronicity and manifestation. And, that's just very surface level, so I feel like they're a little bit freaky. And it's like people can talk the talk and maybe walk the walk and speak the language of mysticism and spirituality, but you have to unlock it for yourself. And so I was just, waking up, and in the morning, no one's disturbing me. It's quiet. Information just flows. Intuitive information that's been sitting on the back burner in my mind, problem solving. My mind solves it in my sleep, and then it's ready, usually by morning. And so, or 3 days later, I've noticed my intuition will work on something, and then the result will happen like 3 days later when I'm doing something weird, like turning on the faucet in the kitchen. All of a sudden, I'll understand what that person really meant. Intuitively, all this, I'll just go, oh, that's really what they meant. The actions and behavior didn't really align with that, but internally, that's what it was all about. And so, learning to trust your intuition and understanding how your mind processes information to come up with those results called intuitive flashes is really important on the magical path, but it's really important in your relationships. So, whatever it is for you, whether it's making money, whether it's sales, whether it's managing your children, whether it's forming a better relationship with your mind and yourself, we can't get away from relationships. So, um, I show you this card from the Aleister Crowley Tarot deck. And the Unicrucial was Aleister's invention, basically. And if you look at it, you see the two runes. One flipped one way, one flipped the other way. That lightning bolt, the S, S. And so, if you, uh, during World War One and Two, Nazi Hitler symbolism, Aleister Crowley said something very important. He said, what destroys the swastika is the letter V. So the movie V for Vendetta plays on that knowledge of those sharp angles. Um, so that's kind of like more occult knowledge on how to use symbols and shapes. And when you think about that V shape, that's used in like bridge building. Like it's one of the strongest forms structurally to hold up lots of weight. But that V shape is that wedge shape is also used in blades for like an axe, chopping wood. And so it's a very interesting, powerful shape. And when you start thinking like that, you're thinking like a wizard. There's levels of mechanics going on. It's true to architecture, it's true to reality, but then its symbolic expression is very true as well. So that typical Star of David, which is two interlocking triangles, fire and water, the main two principles. Uh, and then when they're balanced, is the lower creation of air and earth. So understanding once again, we're back at triangles, and then interlocking triangles creating a star shape. And so shapes, geometrical shapes form patterns, and everything is a pattern. And so you can create, I call them like mind maps. I do a lot of mind mapping, but uh I do it with esoteric symbols and shapes, and I create my own patterns, or I rework the pattern. Like, so today's journaling intuitive process was about relationships. And I'm always using patterns. And when you see it laid out, you can organize your thoughts, and you can see what I like to call hidden pathways. So, this is about relationships, and relationships are ongoing journey. You know, it's like a spiral, it's like a cyclical nature of the hero's quest. And then when it's set into time and there's an evolution, it turns into a spiral. So your healing journey is a spiral. Your evolution journey is a spiral. That self knowledge, your development magically as wizard, it's spiral. So a lot of people just get stuck in the surface material. One Instagram person put out there, where are these book of shadows? Where are the real teachers? Where is this knowledge? And you know, there's like all these people, they just want money, they just want following, they just want to be a leader of a coven, you know, they just pretend. And so then they might pretend that they have all the secrets when they're keeping it from you, and you must earn it, you know, pay all this money, then we'll give you this knowledge, you know. The knowledge is hiding in Western mystery school teachings. It's hiding in plain sight. And it goes, you know, not like crazy stuff. Like, look at all the symbols in advertising that have occult meanings. Yes, that is so to an extent, but more realistically, uh, it's hidden in plain sight. If you truly understand, as above, so below, as within, so without, then you are working hermetically. And so that is the master key. That is the mantra that unlocks the doors. So you're looking at an experience and you're saying, how does this reflect internally and externally? How, you know, how is this mirrored above and below? And when you're designing a ritual, how must my ritual reflect in harmony with the as above, so below, as within, so without? So the universe understands what I'm communicating, what I'm creating. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. The wizard works with rules, laws, principles, uh, formula, equation. And so I really love inside out, backwards, upside down, and reverse as the serpent's language, which is upside down, reverse, backwards, and inside out. It's beautifully expressed. It's another way of saying as above, so below, as within, so without, but with the Ouroboros twist. And so uh, you have to acquire a flexible mind, a creative mind, ingenious. Uh, you have to be able to look at things with new perspectives. And the Rubik's Cube is actually the perfect, ingenious example of wizarding. There's formulas, turn this way, turn that way, and repeat to solve the Rubik's Cube. And so I think everyone playing with the Kabbalah, everyone who wants to start thinking like a true wizard, will should master the Rubik's Cube. Period. Like, you should be able to do that, and it will unlock secrets. And that helps you understand spatially formula. So when we talk about folding space and time, uh, you know, fourth dimensional objects, it's like you have to get, this is the key. Uh, can you look at something inside out? Can you look at it upside down? Can you look at it backwards? So, uh, to gain new insights, you know, kids are good at this. You know, they're like, what happens if the teacup was super big and we all got on it and it spun around and it became an amusement park ride, you know? Or what happens if a teacup could fly? You know, well, maybe we'll attach a balloon to it. And so then we goes in, so from a very creative, unlimited, dreamlike state of imagination, we then formulate real things. And so when you look at everything made architecturally, there's little nuanced innovations of little creative things. They're all around us. We live in a world of symbols made manifest. So the hero's journey from start to finish, back to the beginning, with evolutions becomes a personal spiral. And so literally the center of the tree of life. Like, that's half the reason why I got this. And so just being interactive with your environment geometrically, spatially, helps you. Because, see, I can look at this upside down, I can look at it inside out, backwards, and reverse. So I'm looking at something spatially. And so, how does this apply to your, like, maybe personal relationships, solving problems? Um, so I have met my soulmate. Yes, I claim that. I speak that out into the world as truth. And it met some of those requirements that I found, you know, surfing YouTube, lives in a foreign country, speaks a different language, you know, runner chaser dynamics, blah, blah, blah. Great. Will we, I feel like we already had spiritual union, um, but we're living in two different worlds. And how do you balance liberty and freedom and wanting to be together, this desire to be fused together, and then the reality of separation? Once again, I turn to the pattern of the tree of life as a Kabbalist, you know, as a Kabbalah wizard or a Kabbalah practitioner. That pattern is the foundation of my thinking processes. And so I'm looking at separation and I'm thinking, pillar of severity, Mars, my ruling planet, black and red. And I'm looking at the pillar of mercy, at forgiveness, compassion, understanding, fertility, nurturing, life bringing, uh, divine masculinity, nurturing femininity, and I would say that's actually more the other person. Uh, and then, and so, and then we're looking at that middle pillar, balance. Then there's polarity. You know, we live in a world of polarity to create contrast. Black, white, yes, no, good, bad. young, old, the cycle of life, you know? I'm looking at this polarity of forces being split and things coming together. And I'm like, we don't really understand the third principle. When two people come together, the third principle naturally occurs. When two pillars, when the feminine and masculine come together, that middle pillar is created. That third dimension, the portal is opened and spirit comes through. It's mirrored below in our relationships, and the divine child comes through. I hinted at that with how to activate my altar, Kabbalistic style, with the level of awareness I'm at. And that hints at it, you know, understanding that I literally stand between the pillar of severity and mercy. Now, on the flip side, that union is with your higher self, God, source energy, your crown, your sovereignty. And it's not a child, but it's the source energy, the one. And so as above, so below. People say in order to have a healthy relationship, you have to have that healthy relationship with yourself. It's mirrored in the pattern. If this is myself, then the inverse operation will be the divine union with my significant other. So when a woman is in healthy relationship with her inner male, it brings her to her higher self. As Jung said in his psychology, the mirrored reflection of that operation will be divine union with a physical partner and maybe an offspring to represent that union, the alchemy, the product. So this goes into what I have, what I don't have, how I spiritually merge with it in New Age thought of, visualization, live in the end, have it now, materializing into the product. So see how rational, how unmystical that is. The mirror principle, and you see this figure eight, the Ouroboros, the flipping of the inside out and backwards of the dimensions. So very basic magic is symbols drawn counterclockwise become clockwise. Supposedly, looking at the swastika that Hitler used, he did it backwards to invoke the chaotic energy of the life-giving principle. He literally, so really the Nazi swastika invokes the black sun energy in the material plane because you reverse it. So a lot of people are doing backwards magic and maybe wondering why their stuff doesn't manifest or why it seems to be giving them the reverse. And it might because, and we could go on and on about it, but we don't need to. What happened? So where is this blueprint right here? This hexagon shape, six-sided, and then the inner pathways are how you navigate the crooked path. So the crooked path, or the path of the lightning bolt, is understanding how to navigate to create alchemy, a creation cycle, a destruction cycle, and inner operation, an outer manifestation. So as above, so below, as within, so without. Being able to think like that. So the third pentagram, oh my gosh, the symbol of balance, the symbol of unity, the symbol of actually a lot of plant life has 5-strand DNA, 3-strand DNA. So Humans have two-strand DNA currently. Who knows why? Um, but anyways, 5 shows up in the family of roses. So 5 and the pentagram actually goes in the sphere in the on the pillar of severity in the 5th sphere. So there's law of correspondence. So we're using these things, as above, so below, as within, so without. And we're using this template, these patterns for thinking operations, for strategies, for plans, and for understanding the dynamics of relationships. So, looking at my values, being a sovereign being, stepping into my sovereignty, stepping into my divinity, I'm working the middle pillar, reflecting on the past altercation with my sister as she tried to enroll me into her unprocessed inner child material. Um, I was like, she was in polarity, right, wrong, good, bad, feeling offended, and whatever her story was, and failing to realize I'm aware, I'm tapped in, you know, I I'm connected to consciousness and awareness. But she also fails to realize my heart is open. I'm doing inner work. I live like love is a new value of mine. I actually call it heart. Love is a very triggering word. Heart bypasses, brings you to the essence of an artist, brings you to the essence of a poet, and truly, as we've now understood, you need to think like an artist and like a poet. So the love, not the love principle, but the heart, that the center of the tree of life needs to be activated. And literally, me and my angel, you know, we connect on the level of heart. My personal angel is a love angel over beauty, over romance, and over like those relationships. And so it makes sense that if I'm integrating with the archetype of the angel, stuff has to be cleared out. My own personal cold heart, black sun, living in history needs to be removed. But, anyways, so I'm looking at this situation with me and my sister, and I'm like, what polarized people don't get, people who live in one or the other, yes, no, me, you, polarity dynamics, us and them, they're not realizing that middle pillar. I can be conscious, awake, and aware, insightful, full of wisdom and understanding, but I can also be full of love, understanding, and I can see the totality of things when my heart and my mind are connected. Ground it. The practice is grounding it into your physical body with presence, living in the now, and having, my actions and my speech, the actions line up. See, this is all magic. So she's trying to uh, push me off my center. She's trying to depolarize me because she's depolarized. But when you're aligned through the middle pillar, I can dish out the severity, put her in her place, but I can do it all with love and compassion. And I can also, so I can move between the two pillars, but I'm centered in presence. I'm centered in awareness. I am conscious. I haven't been enrolled, enticed into her storyline or my storyline. Even though there was still material, inner child wounding stuff, programming. We all have it. Primal, and then the primal self. So in the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, it shows like a 7-headed serpent, uh, moving from Malkuth up through the spheres, and it can't get to the top 3. It can only go so far. It can only go to the threshold, you know? It, so it can, and in a weird way, you could say that's the karma of the world. That's the evil that humanity still has to process out. Collectively, we share this karma. Uh, and what keeps us from higher levels of awareness is that density, that magnetism, that dense energy that we all share in. So that's within all of us. It doesn't go away if you're on the planet. So even though I wanted to maybe be reactive, feel defensive, um, and put her in her place, um, when you're in awareness and you're in love, and you're in heart, or you're in your heart space, and you have the knowledge of all things are connected. When you have too much knowledge, you can just sit on your center and appreciate everything, you know. And there's also, and so you can move to severity and speak with force and logic and reason and justice with passion. A lot of people think angry, they think anger, they think violence, but you can actually be very passionate. You can passionately debate an issue. You can passionately assert your right, your authority, your insights. You can have a passionate discussion. You can have a debate, but you got to balance it with awareness and heart. So that's how you stay balanced in your relationships. So it's, you lose your shit. You fall for people's ploys. You get entrapped in dynamics when you're not working on being present. Melkuth, the earth, the 10th sphere. And then you lose balance again. Your heart grows cold if you don't work on just having a heart, seeing the beauty of life, joy, warmth, you know, interconnectedness. And then you also lose balance when everything's material, everything, you're caught in the story and the narrative. You're caught in time. He said, she did, then I need to make up for that I need to then revenge future entrapments. So the past entrapped you. Now you want to entrap the future. Like all the games playing for like how to get your relationship and all that stuff, all the entrapments are dependent on time. When you're present and you just practice a little meditation, a little centering, then that higher self comes in. That you, outside of time, outside the story, pure awareness, pure consciousness, pure presence drops in, and your intuition kicks on. Now you're playing a different ball game. You're like inside the box and outside the box. You're in the world of time, the matrix, but you're also in the timeless realm. You're kind of like Pisces. You got the two selves. You got the as above, but you also have the soul below. You have the character, but you have the soul. And now you can do the alchemy to change a situation. So a lot of people think if I'm attacking you, I'm doing it unconsciously. I'm doing it without love, without awareness, without foresight. When you work that middle pillar and that becomes your everyday mode of operation, you become the center of all experiences. You're never at the effect anymore. You are the cause. You are the cause of the cause. So she tried to make me the effect of her offense. I took it back, redirected it Aikido style, and I became the center. She tried sweeping my center with a sweep kick. I reversed it on her, and she fell on her ass. So you can use the principles of magic. You can use the geometry, the symbols of the geometry to come to your own personal insights, to then be the alchemist, the inner operations, the transformation, to turn things into your favor, to have positive outcomes, to gain deeper insights, and then to ground it into reality. So this video happened because of my knowledge, my acquired knowledge, and using the tree of life and its patterns. And then also that knowledge comes through experience. You have to have problems to solve them, to level up to new levels of awareness. So living in my center, being awake and aware, understanding that I'm consciousness, what the characters do on stage don't offend me so much. You know, the character over there in another country having certain building block experiences to level up, to clear out their inner child garbage, to open up their heart, to be vulnerable. I don't need to be offended about it. I don't be living in my lower ego. I don't need to be living in the character, the avatar, who's programmed a certain way. I can live outside my programming, or I can at least move back and forth. You know, when I'm feeling offended, when I'm feeling mentally confused, I'm heavy into my avatar. I'm heavy into my programming. And then I can relax, find my center, ground. Find my center, open up, and become present again. I can jump outside the story. I can go fourth, fifth dimensional, which is what Aquarius and Pisces do. We step out of the story, gain a bigger, broader perspective and understanding. Genius level master strokes, hidden keys come to us, and then we drop back in and assimilate it. And the most important, turn it into action. So we had mental actions, we had a mental alchemy going on, but the integration and the transformation comes through physical action. So a lot of us do actions that we regret. Still all part of the process. But you can start being more mindful. Go through the alchemy process and then take strategic actions. Now that's magic. That's wizarding. Turning negative situations into positives. Transforming yourself, And so yeah, that's what this video is about. Is working that middle pillar and using the hexagram as your key to unlock